Hi guys, it is Dom here from Soundsphere. Just had a wonderful chat, a great privilege and a pleasure to chat to Colin and Larry from 100 Reasons, of course, an incredible British alternative rock band that I grew up with and so many of my friends grew up with. If you've not heard them, please, this is the perfect time to do so. Bringing out a new record, Glorious Sunset. We go in depth about it, hear the inspirations, the ideas, the sounds, the sonics, all of it. I'm excited about it. If you can, of course you can tell, and I hope you guys will check it out. We'll listen to it. Go and support 100 Reasons. They are on tour with Hells for Heroes and My Vitriol coming up soon, and this is promoting that. So check it out. Support 100 Reasons, and thank you so much for watching. Cheers. So first off, guys, nice and easy introduction. How are you guys getting on today? Larry, Colin, how are you doing?
Pretty
Just
good.
casual. Yeah. Bit of work, bit of this, bit of that. It's been all right.
Nice. Yeah, Larry's busy as well with lots of other life stuff. It's cool.
I've been tidying up the shed today that needed doing.
Nice. It's
An
go
ongoing task. It will never end.
Yeah. The eternal DIY, absolutely.
Yeah.
Talking about stuff you've been doing, though, obviously there is a beautiful new record on the horizon in Glorious Sunset, which is exciting for me as a fan, but for you guys as well. Well, I imagine for you guys as well. How I experienced the record is like with this sort of same hope and enthusiasm that I got when I was growing up on 100 Reasons and, listening to Ideas and Quick the Word and those records. So for me, it's like a sonically hopeful record, but with some heavy themes. But that's me as a fan and a listener. So for you both, with your input, what how would you describe Glorious Sunset to people?
I don't think you're a million miles away in terms of your own sort of thought process in that. I just think it's an amazing record, and I think what came out of us when we were writing it was like offensively special. It was just such a cathartic time, but also everything just felt like completely right. So for me, I think it was a tough journey because of what I was writing about, but in the same respect, you got the other side of it where you're writing music and melodies that with people that you love, and it's just amazing. So that's kind of my thought process.
Okay, Larry?
Yeah, cathartic is definitely something that I'm feeling. It feels good to be putting something out that we're ridiculously proud of, in a way that we weren't that proud of our, what we'd left behind before in our fourth record. Like, it feels wonderful now to have this piece of work that, regardless of what happens, whether or not we ever do it again, whether or not we ever play a show again, whether or not anyone likes it, it doesn't really matter to me, because we're just so proud of it, and I just think it's a really good piece of work. And being that excited about putting out 100 Reason album is not a feeling I thought I'd get again. So it's definitely cathartic from that point of view.
Yeah, because that's a good word actually, because again, like, for years listening to 100 Reasons stuff, it got me through a lot of things, like some really difficult experiences. And when I listen to your stuff and certain melodies, like the hairs on my arms stand up, and I'm not gonna lie, like, maybe I get a tear in my eye a little bit. I'm not bullshitting you. I think some beautiful parts to the 100 Reasons. Not only music, but the messages. So if you could tell me a bit more about the catharsis that you got from producing this record and what it means to you on that level. We start with Colin and then go to Larry. What does the record and the catharsis you got from this mean to you guys?
I mean, for me, it was just bonding with people that, maybe I suppose not on purpose, but just through life. We had a very special time with each other when we were hanging out in the band for the first time round, and then people get on with life and we sort of drift apart, and we sort of see each other every now and then. I have a phone call here and there, but, sort of being back in each other's lives, but in a really good, positive way, I think was probably what was most meaningful. And I think, when we started writing and we went to like the first sort of studio session, and me and the Andy and Larry were sort of hanging out, and it was just incredible. It was just really it was just brilliant. And I don't know if any of us truly expected that. And so for me, because you haven't done anything together for a while, but the spark was there again, the magic was there instantly. So for me, I think there's almost like you know, a little bit of a sort of sense of relief. I think when sort of Larry talks about, you know, how things were before, you know, and how things are now. Yeah, it is nice to be really proud of doing something. But for me, I think just a lot of the, you know, life's happened, you know, and it's happened to everybody. It's happened to our fan base. And, you know, these themes that I think we're sort of discussing or, you know, singing about or whatever within the record are sort of a lot more grown up. And, you know, arguably beforehand, you're a young person with young person's problems. And as you get older, you realize that maybe some of those issues, you know, are a little bit more, you know, the issues of the older person can sometimes be a little bit more, I don't know, bigger than when you were kind of younger, where it's just like, oh no, my girlfriend pissed me off, you know, and that's not necessarily what we always wrote about. But I just think the themes in this record are a lot more sort of grown up, because we've all been through the mill and we've all had stuff that's happened. And it doesn't mean that our professional lives haven't been unsatisfactory or that our personal lives haven't been satisfactory either. Sorry. But, you know, but you just have life and things happen. And that's kind of what I've sort of focused on.
Yeah. Yeah. Larry, to add to that?
I don't have a huge amount to add to that. It's all true. But like you said before about, you know, the hairs of your arm standing up or a tear coming to the eye when you listen to it. You know, when you're making music, to me, that's when you know it's working, because that's what it should be doing. And you know, when I'm making music, you look to get what you're making to a point that it has that effect on you, and then hopefully it will have that effect on other people. And we didn't have to try that hard to get these songs to that place for me, especially when Colin started putting the vocals on. It was just kind of like, these are doing that. These are connecting with us. And you know, like I said, if they connect with you, that's the only way you can be sure that they might have a chance of connecting with other people. And I think all of these songs do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to talk about 2 or 3 of the tracks from the record, one of the singles. But first off, there's a track called "Right There With You," which is on this album, which is again beautiful on a sonic level. And I wanted to sort of dive into the lyrics and the meaning of that one first. Again, from a production standpoint, from a lyrical standpoint, can you talk to me about "Right There With You" and what was going through the band's mind, collective mind, Colin's mind? Larry, talk me through that one if you can.
I think that was the first song. That was the song we wrote in the first session we got back together with for the record, right?
It was.
And I remember listening to that afterwards and having this feeling of like, well, that sounds like quite a good 100 Reasons song, which is obviously a very good feeling. Yeah, so that was, and I think the lyrical content lends itself to that. Definitely. I mean, Colin will talk more about that, but it's the sort of thing of like, you know, we're still here, we're still together. Like it has that feel about it. So I'm really happy that it made the record. Yeah,
beautiful. Colin?
Yeah, I mean, to me, the song's kind of about loyalty. And I mean, loyalty is sort of amongst sort of 2 people, because again, as you sort of travel through life with people, you realize that, you know, nobody's perfect. And even if, you know, that just doesn't happen. And I think it's about, you know, the fallibility of the mistakes that we make, doing stupid things sometimes, and ultimately someone else is there to sort of forgive, and you can forgive that too, because there's something that's just a little bit more, you know, than, you know, I suppose to me, I feel that some people in life can be just a little bit overly petty about the smaller things. And I think, you know, this track to me is about that sort of, you know, forgiveness for some of the bigger things. But basically it's sort of built around loyalty and just knowing that kind of no matter what you're going to do, I'm going to be with you, I'm going to be around you through that.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting point, because that was my next question. I sort of picked up on a theme of forgiveness sort of running through the record. Obviously, it, you know, permeates on waveform as well. I kind of picked out forgiveness comes up a lot, and I was thinking, you know, forgiveness and, you know, particularly with relationships, friendships, things like that. Am I right in that? Am I ballpark right with that in terms of forgiveness being a strong running theme through the record, and, you know, kind of moving forward with friendships?
It's not necessarily something that sort of comes to mind, and it's not that to say that isn't the case, but it's not something I consciously thought about. I think it's just, you know, what sort of happens is when we sort of write music anyway, you know, we'll come up with ideas and everything, and then what I'll normally do is get like a sketch like vocal together, and then what I do is sometimes out of those sketch vocals there's some kind of good lines and themes kind of start to emerge. So I think it's kind of very organic, and that's probably why I think that, you know, when sort of making this record, the thoughts that sort of come out of my head are kind of what's in my head, like literally at that time when we're recording, or it's how I'm feeling at that time. And there's been a couple where maybe the Andy wrote some of the music sort of remotely, and then he'd send the track to us and we'd all listen to it and everything. So those things were, again, sort of maybe a bit more thought about in terms of themes and stuff. But most of the time when you're in the studio writing, it was these themes kind of emerged in the moment about probably just exactly how I was feeling at that time. And then you pick out a few lyrics that from those sessions that you felt were pretty good, and then you'd build around that to create the story. So that's kind of, but yeah, forgiveness is arguably, you're not necessarily wrong, but it's not like a conscious thing that I thought about.
Thanks for clearing that up, Colin. And there was, you know,
all cleared up.
no, just it's something that the word came up a bunch, and I was like, oh man, I want to ask about that. I also want to ask about there's a single, people have heard it, there's a bunch of singles out there now, but Glorious Sunset, the title track. Now that to me was just a perfect representation of everything that 100 Reasons has been for people, and everything 100 Reasons will continue to be, in terms of this, again, this sort of these euphoric riffs and this hopeful tone, but even, you know, but again, dealing with these sort of darker themes. So again, could you talk me through Glorious Sunset and what that track means and why you decided to, because that was the first thing out of the gate, right?
It was the first track out of the gate. Sorry, Larry, do you want to talk at all?
Sorry, Larry.
Actually, if you want, I just feel like I'm the one doing all the talk. Just saying,
my internet crapped out for a bit, so you were just frozen for a little while as well. So I wasn't just sitting here listening attentively. Glorious Sunset. I think we decided to put that out for. We all felt it was one of the stronger tracks on the record for the reasons you said. So I think the thinking was, well, let's just drop that single, announce the album, put the single out straight away, and just thought that was quite a statement to make from out of absolutely nowhere to announce that we're coming back with new music to accompany the tour. So it was just a desire to come out with a splash was putting that one out. The title was actually, like, the Andy bass player came up with the original sort of sketch of chords and demo for that track, and that his demo was just called Glorious Sunset when he sent it over to us, and then obviously it was embellished upon, made into the album, but the title stuck, and Colin took it and ran with it. You know, it suits the music, it suits the DNA of the music, and so the lyrics then being built around that theme, it ended up being really strong.
Beautiful work. I mean, again, that was the hairs on the arm track for me. Colin, anything to add to that?
I think Larry's right. It was like a sketch demo from the Andy, like, musically, and then, you know, we didn't like, sometimes we just come up with funny names for songs while we were writing them, and some of them changed and some of them didn't. So even like New Glasses was sort of built around like Larry getting new glasses that day, but also like the theme of the song was about seeing people differently and seeing through like someone's bullshit.
Right.
So the New Glasses thing stuck because it still worked.
That was actually this pair of glasses, which are now completely trashed and are about to be replaced. So that's how long ago we wrote that song.
I wrote another song called New Glasses in a.
There you go.
Or just call it Repeat Prescription. And the thing as well is that because, you know, we haven't sort of necessarily put like a pin in sort of not writing anymore. It's not something we're thinking about, that's for sure. I haven't even thought about writing new music at all with 100 Reasons or playing any more shows and sort of what's announced. But sort of maybe at the time you kind of sit there and think, well, if it is the last thing you do, then it's quite cool as an album title and obviously a song title. So it works on a couple of sort of levels, which is what I quite liked about like the name of the song. So it works thematically with the lyrics, and it also works kind of thematically with sort of what's going on in the band, where, you know, I'm not saying we wouldn't write any more music, but I'm certainly not thinking about it either.
Yeah.
Right now in any shape or form. I'm just enjoying sort of what's going on with this music that we're about to release right now. So
after this sunset, we're going to slink back in to the night and lay dormant again, possibly forever.
Wow, it's gonna be, again, it's gonna be a special record, I think, for a lot of people, man. I was saying this to Larry earlier. It is beautiful, and I can't wait for people to hear it. I mean, I think it'd be interesting to talk to you both about, because you both have other projects, you both have other bands and other things you've done over the years. Obviously, Larry's production as well. Did you find that producing this record, pulling it together, pushed you in new ways as artists in any way, or was it kind of like business as usual? Was it something that you found very easy to pull together as a band, or did for you individually, guys, did it push you in new ways as artists? If we go with Larry first.
I found it, like, I definitely, since the last time I produced the band, which is a long time ago, obviously made a lot of records with other people, and I found coming back into this, I mean, easy or not, it's not easy, but it's like and also the songs are really good. So the songs kind of presented ideas to me already. It was just obvious to me a lot of the time what I had to do to them, which is a sign of good songs usually. When you're scratching about being like, oh, what the fuck am I going to do with this? Then it normally means there needs to be more writing done or anything. But they were all pretty solid. And we made the record in a slightly discombobulated way. Like, see, Andy, the drummer, lives in California, so we had to do the drums with him, and we were still in COVID when we started it. So even if we had want to buy him a flight, there was no opportunity for him to do it. He was basically stuck there. So we went to the studio in California, and I stayed up late, and he started early. And I was sort of listening to the output of the console there and speaking back to him using, the internet. So I could talk to him with my talkback button. So in a lot of ways, it was like he was in the next room, but we did that remotely. And then Colin and Andy would come in and do their part sort of in and around our day-to-day lives. So we'd be doing that either after my sessions during the day or after Colin had finished work. And then I was just sort of left to my own devices to put it all together, which I procrastinated on hugely because I don't particularly like working on my own. And then went into this sort of insane 3 or 4 week period where I got it all done right before the deadline. And I was driving myself a little bit insane. But so from that point of view, it was different from any other record because, you normally there, like there was no, being the producer and the artist means that you haven't got an artist to bounce off against. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, but I found it quite immediately satisfying to make, and it did all fall into place pretty easily, I'd say. And that energy definitely comes across. And then special mention, Chenzo Townsend ended up mixing the record, who's a sort of legendary mixer that I've done a lot of work with on records over the years. And Chenzo's an old master in my eyes, and his mixes put a real classic sound on the whole of the record, I think, and really took it up a notch as well. So massive thanks to him for doing that for us.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Cool. Colin?
Ramble over.
Yeah. I think for me, I mean, I think Larry and I had a chat about this. Like, I was driving into London one day or something, and we were talking about like recordings and stuff and everything. And the thing about sort of working with Larry and the other guys in the band is, I suppose, when I'm working on other projects, I don't necessarily feel the need to impress other people too much. But because I've kind of grown up with Larry and we've kind of lived through all of our learning experiences and stuff as we've got good at what we do, I think my need to be, I don't sort of seek validation from anybody other than necessarily the other people in the band. And I think I remember having a chat with you about it, Larry, and I think you kind of felt the same way the other way around, but we'd never really sort of talked about it before. And it was that kind of want, because, Larry's brilliant at what he does. He really is an amazing producer. Yeah. So for him to sort of actually, I'm just lucky, like over the moon lucky that this guy is like in our band, because you're amazing, Larry. I love you. You're amazing.
Thanks, bro.
But and I think sort of through that, and for me, it was just really just about making sure that I did everybody proud, and I think everybody felt the same way about what they were doing as well. Whereas before with other things, you go and do a guest spot here, or you do a side project there, you go in and you do it, and it's cool and you're happy or whatever. But I think there's a little bit of extra sort of gravitas whenever I get involved with doing things 100 Reasons, because we've always been as a band as well. Like, I don't think we're sort of what you might call sort of micro analytical. So we don't sit here and sweat all the teeny tiny things or whatever, but there is a want. But the thing is, if something isn't right, no one sort of beats around the bush about when they're sort of saying that. But that's okay too, because it's not like people are rude. But if I was doing a vocal line or something like that, they'd be like, oh, do you think maybe kind of can make it just sound a little bit less shit? And that's cool, because that's fine, because that's always the rapport that we have. But yeah, I think
that's producing.
Pardon? You broke up.
Nothing. So that's producing.
All right.
I think I've got a delay.
Yeah. There you go. Is that on your board? It's on your desk.
It's all good. It's all good. It happens. But yeah. I mean, that I've got a few more questions, and you talking about Colin, the special place that I guess 100 Reasons has, and that pressure that you feel. It's a bit of an odd question, but I do want to ask, do you consider the legacy of 100 Reasons very much and what it's done for people? I know a lot of bands have been inspired by you guys. A lot of bands still reference you now as an influence, and obviously you're still touring. People are still coming out, and people are still motivated, and thousands of streams in modern times, etc. So, do you consider the legacy of 100 Reasons very much, or does it not really cross your mind? You mentioned not sweating the small stuff, but I suppose the legacy of many years in a band together, that's probably quite a big thing. So how do you define, do you think about the legacy of 100 Reasons, you guys?
I mean, not massively. I think like Andy Buse might do, because he's kind of in the touring world, so he sees quite a lot of people in bands and stuff that know who we are and what we've done and stuff. But for me, I'm not sort of massively around that, so I can sometimes think back on things and go, do you know what, that was really cool, that was awesome, that was amazing, that kind of thing, because there are moments where you sit sometimes and go, oh yeah, I did that, which is awesome. But to sort of think about it in sort of that much depth, I probably don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's flattering, because it's rude to say you're not flat. If someone comes up to you and says, oh, I loved your band was amazing, they had a real special meaning to me, that's obviously very flattering. But I'm just not in an environment where that sort of happens all the time anyway. So for me, it's just, yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I'm kind of the same. For a while, a lot of the people that I work with are probably too young to have been into our band. But I do appreciate the legacy. Actually, listening back to stuff, basically to practice it on guitar, as I've been doing for the last however long. Because I don't ever listen to old 100 Reasons records, it's just not something that I ever do. I know some people do like listening to their own music, but it doesn't really do it for me. But going back through and sort of relearning parts and listening to stuff, I'm like, this shit's pretty good, So that gave me a bit of an appreciation for it. but it even seems abstract, like the amount of tickets we sold for this tour. Until I'm stood in a room and there's like thousands of people there, I swear I'm still going to be looking at all of them going like, what the fuck are you all doing here? Like, because at the moment it's just numbers on a spreadsheet when we get sent ticket sales figures. But it's like, I can't believe all these people are actually buying tickets. So it kind of seems a bit abstract until it's going to be right in front of us very soon. Yeah. But that's a good problem to have, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited to see you guys again on this tour. We'll talk about that at the end, and obviously because it's coming up pretty thick and fast. But alongside legacy, I do want to ask you about success and the definition of that. Now, not necessarily as a band, but because you guys have grown up with the band, but you've also done other things with your lives as well. So, as people and as artists, and if they're one and the same thing, how do you define success how do you define success as people and as artists? And is that the same thing? Whoever wants to start on that one, because I guess it's a big one, can start.
That's a massive question.
I mean, I suppose for me, success is more about. I don't think ultimately I would ever turn around and go, you know, I've been successful, but I've had what I would say are moments of success, and success is generally to me a sort of linked to satisfaction, I suppose. You know, if I've done something that I'm really proud of, then that's success. You know, sort of for me, and so I suppose it's overall sort of happiness and satisfaction. It's definitely not a monetary thing, because in fairness, in regards to sort of 100 Reasons, it's never been about that. It's just about hopefully writing great music and playing great shows and that kind of thing. So, you know, success is when you come off stage after playing a great show and the crowd's loved it and you've loved it and you've had a good time. You know, it's a multitude of things. So I don't think it's about sort of ultimate success. You know, it's to me, it's a culmination of many sort of smaller things and events. And so I suppose for me, it's kind of like, it's like people talk about achievement. What have you achieved? And generally it's sort of micro achievements for me, you know, small things that have just gone well. And so I suppose, you know, as a massive question that could take far too long to answer really in real terms, for me, it's about, you know, sort of ongoing success, you know, and like we say, you know, the new single comes out and fans like it. To me, that's a success. You know, we've got shows coming up with, you know, loads of tickets sold. That's a success, you know, and, you know, you're going to play to some, you know, and have some fun times. The album comes out and people like it. That's a success. You know, it's yeah, it's kind of why I look at it.
Cool.
Not one thing.
Yeah, it's a big question, I realise. Larry, anything to add to that?
Well, you know, make yourself happy in this day and age, and you can probably count yourself as being successful, because that takes effort and that takes work. You know, either work on relationships, work on your life, work on your work. You know, if you can get that to a point which you can equate to happiness, or as Colin said, satisfaction, I think that is success. It took me a long time to get to that point. Even through when we were doing stuff in a band that would have been seen as successful, it didn't feel successful because, you know, you hadn't figured out the rest of your life. So, you know, in life, success is if you find yourself in a place of happiness when you're surrounded by people you love. That's success to me.
Yeah.
I guess like musical success, I'd say, which I think is what we've done on this record, is if you can have an idea of how you want something to be, want something to sound, or an emotion that you want to convey across to other people, and then you can listen to something which does carry that message and carry that emotion. I think in musical terms, that is success. And that's why even before this record has done anything, I see it as a successful record, regardless of how many actual copies it sells or what it does commercially, because it has conveyed, I think, what was in our heads very succinctly and very directly. So yeah, musically, I think that's successful.
Yeah, man. I'm so buzzed. I said to you before we started, I'm so buzzed for you guys. I think it's I think it's an exciting record. And like I say, as someone that sort of grew up listening to that stuff, I was so enthusiastic when I first got to listen to it. I was like, man, this is super nostalgic, but also like I think so many people love it now. Do you know what I mean? People still, you know, and people are coming out to that tour. It's gonna be great. A couple more to finish then. Obviously you have this tour coming up, as I just referenced, you know, going out with Hell's for Heroes and My Vitriol. As a band that I would describe as kind of one of the, you know, the kind of most, I guess, I'm trying to think of the most influential names in British rock music, British alternative rock music anyway, a band that does inspire a lot of people still to this day, alongside, you know, Hell's for Heroes and My Vitriol that also did that. What does this tour mean to you guys? I guess to you, it's just hanging out with old friends, maybe.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it is. You know, My Vitriol are awesome. Hell's for Heroes are awesome. You know, I got a little message did you get a message from Som the other day as well, Larry?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and you know, everyone's just looking forward to it. You know, he said he'd sort of texted Larry, he texted me, and we're just like, he's been rehearsing and saying, oh, it's all sounding really good. And we're just like, you know, can't wait to see you guys. You know, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, can't wait. What else is there to say? We're like, no, not interested at all.
yeah, screw those guys. Yeah.
But yeah, whatever. But no, I can't wait to play new songs to people, just because the reaction to them has been so positive. I think sometimes when people shove new music into a set, I think sometimes a little bit not really sort of interested, but I think this time around the fans will be interested. So I can't wait for that. I think we've got an amazing set list that we've been, working on. So I think there's going to be a bit for everybody. We haven't ignored any songs that we think people would kill us if we didn't play. So yeah, it should be a good night each night.
Nice one. Larry?
Yeah, I mean, they are our mates. I mean, I see those Hennes Heroes guys all the time anyway, so I don't actually need to go on tour to hang out with them. But
Yeah.
but I don't know. It's like, if you were being unkind, you'd say it's an obvious bill, but I just think it totally makes sense, and I think that it's something that fans of both bands, and there's a hell of a lot of crossover. It's just going to be a special night for people and for my Vitriol. So yeah, it just makes total sense as a 3-band bill. And it's going to be a good night, and I'm hoping people are going to get there early, stay for the duration, and enjoy the whole thing.
Yeah, man. No, I'm definitely getting down early for all of it. Just to finish up then, guys, is there any, this is where we sort of test whether I've done my job properly. Is there anything you feel like I've missed, anything you want to plug and promote, anything you want to say as we finish up?
I think the only thing I'm going to say is that, like, the music that people haven't heard is, again, what I'm incredibly excited about, because the whole album is just, in my opinion, it's just the best work we've ever done, and it's amazing. And we've been sitting on these songs now probably for about a year and a half, and I cannot stop listening to my own music, which kind of sounds a little bit kind of weird, but I've probably never really sort of done that before. But to kind of put this album on and sort of listen to it and just go, wow, it's incredible. And you talk about tearful moments. I get tearful with some of the songs when I'm listening to them back. I just can't wait. It's a special record. And yeah, listen to it, whatever. Just hope everyone sort of likes it as well. But yeah, it's a special moment.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Larry?
That's fine.
Cool. Yeah, good. Good.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm going to tack one on at the end, which I've started to do more recently. For the people that are reading, listening, watching, whatever, fans of yours, is there anything like a golden nugget of advice, a golden nugget of just something that matters to you both individually that you carry with you? A phrase, maybe it's something a family member has said, maybe it's something another band member has said, maybe it's something you guys have said to each other, something that motivates you, that you carry with you each day. I know it's another quite a big question, but I
know I've got something.
Go on then, Colin. Yeah.
Don't be shit.
Don't be shit. Okay.
And I mean that in all sense as well. That covers your music, that covers the shows that you play, that covers how you interact with other people, everything. It covers just don't be shit.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. I like that. I'm trying to take that one with me. Larry?
I think it's important to not try and please other people too much, especially with work or output or creativity. And people say this over and over again, but it's true, and you have to remind yourself of it all the time, that you just have to make things that make you happy and make you excited, and you can't really do anything more than that. And if you start second guessing what other people want, that's when you end up being shit.
Yep. Don't be shit. Yeah.
Don't be shit, as we've already established.
Don't be shit. Well, what a good way to end on, guys. Thank you so much for making the time for me today, and
right,
good luck with the record. It's going to be great.
Cool.